My dad and I took off our seatbelts, and then over the headset, we heard something doesn't feel right. And we're like, okay, well, before we even had a chance to think, the helicopter lifted back up.
Mm.
And as we got to about 400, 450 feet in the air, I looked over at my dad and what I saw outside just started spinning in circles. And it took a second for me to realize that the helicopter was spinning in circles. And I just suddenly think, oh my gosh, I'm going to see my dad die.
Welcome back to Brain, sponsored by Toro and Tides. I'm your host, Evan Folan, and today I'm sitting down with Oaklee. Oaklee survived something most people could never imagine, a devastating helicopter accident. Yeah, you heard that right, a helicopter accident. Now, the helicopter came down. Oaklee describes her survival as nothing short of a miracle. She walked away without the severe physical injuries many would expect from the crash like that, but what people couldn't see was the battle happening inside. Oaklee was left with a traumatic brain injury, an invisible injury that would change her life and begin a recovery journey far beyond what anyone could see from the outside. I'm so excited, Oaklee, to have you on the show. Welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for
Wow.
having me.
Of course, of course. I reached out to you through social media. I often get on social media and look up TBI or brain injuries, and it's interesting what comes on my algorithm. But your story popped up, and I was shocked. I watched the video. You had posted it, and the fact that you survived is insane. Can you walk us through the events and what happened that day?
Yeah, it was a Sunday morning. So I live here in Utah. It's winter time, so I decided to join my family in doing like a helicopter exploratory like adventure. We didn't receive much snow this year in January, so we were gonna plan on flying the helicopter, go over some mountains, see if we could chase some elk around, and stop for brunch at a really popular diner brunch area in the mountains and then just continue. So that's exactly what we did is my dad and I loaded up in the back seat of a helicopter, and it's a larger helicopter. It's actually the old version of Life Flight. So it's quite spacious and it's pretty cool to be in there, and we did just that. We flew over some peaks in Utah, and then we landed at a summit and had a lunch and a couple cups of coffee. We unfortunately didn't see any wildlife, which I was excited for. And then as we got back on the helicopter and decided to continue, we landed in a spot that was pretty open. There were some snowmobilers nearby. We had known a couple people on the ground, wanted to say hello. It's not very often that you get helicopters landing in, the wide open, especially in the woods, right? And so we did just that. And as we were landing, something kind of fell off. It took a while for us to land. And I wasn't sure if it was the wind or maybe the terrain or ice underneath of us. But we started, as we were landing, it took us a while. We were drifting to the right. But I was like, okay, I've been in a helicopter a few times. Wasn't sure. I'm not a pilot myself, so I don't really know how they operate. And then we completely landed. My dad and I took off our seatbelts, and then over the headset, we heard something doesn't feel right. And we're like, okay, well, before we even had a chance to think, the helicopter lifted back up.
Mm.
And as we got to about 400, 450 feet in the air, I looked over at my dad and what I saw outside just started spinning in circles. And it took a second for me to realize that the helicopter was spinning in circles. And the first thing that came to mind was if you've ever been in an airplane to get before flying, where they go over the safety measures, they tell you, in case of an emergency, make sure to put your oxygen on mask on before you help somebody else. So that's
Mhm.
immediately what I thought, where my dad and I had taken off our seatbelts, and I look at him and he looks at me. We're spinning out of control, backwards, and I'm reaching for my seatbelt. I can't find it. My dad's reaching over for mine. I might be
Oh.
sitting on it. It's just a lap belt. It's just like an airplane. And I just suddenly think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna see my dad die
Mm.
because we can't get our seatbelts on. And from that moment, that's the last thing I remember. And then I wake up on the ground. And it was interesting because my dad actually had his phone he was recording as we were landing to show
Oh.
everyone outside. And when we started spinning out of control, his phone stayed recording and it flew out of his hand. And so on this iPhone, we have a video of the crash that I don't remember and that my dad doesn't remember. But we land on the ground, and the first thing out of my mouth is, "Dad, I'm alive. Are you alive?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm alive. We're okay." We all the four of us start talking, and I forgot to mention that well, as we were going down, it was complete silence. We weren't saying like "Mayday, Mayday," or "We're crashing," or "Grab, put your seatbelts on." It just was silent. And so once we're on the ground, it took me a while to realize where I was. And there was a really high pitched ringing of like an alarm going off,
Mm.
as annoying as your smoke detector. And there was like fumes and smoke and a lot of like soot. Um,
Mm.
I don't remember if I was on my hands and knees. I genuinely don't. And um, I start panicking. I'm like, well, where's my phone? I lost my shoes. I was wearing boots. Don't know where my shoes went. But I was grasping for anything that I had control of,
Mm.
especially my phone because I wanted to call for help, obviously. And
Mhm.
my dad's like, okay, just get out, get us, we gotta go, we gotta go. I'm like, okay, okay. And he opened, so we landed on the side. It was on my side, and he opened up the hatch. And I don't remember if I climbed up and over or there's a part in the helicopter that a tree had pierced through the bottom that was probably around
Jeez.
my side. And so I got out of the helicopter barefoot and I started walking. And then I got about maybe 20 feet away and I just fell to my knees and started throwing up. Everything went dizzy.
Mm.
I don't really remember. And I this really nice gal came to me. I wasn't recognizing faces. I didn't know everyone on the ground, but she's like, "I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm like, "I'm okay." And then she's like, "Okay, well, stay with me, stay awake." I'm like, I can't." And she's like, "No, you got to." And so then their snowmobile had a little toboggan, and they brought over the snowmobile with the toboggan and put me in it and tried to make me drink water. And I was like, I can't. We elevated my legs, but as soon as I sat down, I went, oh crap, I can't feel my legs. Like from my waist down, I was like, I can't feel anything. And again, it was winter. I was barefoot or had socks on, but they were cold and wet. And I was like, I'm paralyzed. But I'm not. I walked. How could I be paralyzed? And just confusion, and they took me in, they're keeping me awake, and she's holding me, and they put me into a snowmobile trailer as somebody went and called for help. And they took off my socks and tried to put new socks on, but I just was so bitter cold I can't remember anything. um then my dad comes over, he's like, are you okay? I was like, I don't know. And as the paramedics arrived, they checked me out, and I have a medical background, and
Mm.
I was super scared. So I was trying to talk medical of like how I was feeling, and yeah, I know my name, I know who I am and where I'm at, but I don't know what just happened.
Mm.
And trying, because I was afraid of my injuries, I didn't know what happened. And so the sheriff came over and did the eye test, follow my finger. I did that, and he looked at me and he said, "No, you got to go."
Mm.
And so Then they laid me down, put me in a collar, put me on a backboard, cut off all my clothes, put on monitors so I'm even more cold. And my dad signed for me, and then within 20 minutes, I was in a helicopter again. But this time,
Oh,
I was by myself, and I was going to a hospital. So, baptism by fire for sure of crashing in a helicopter and then getting another one.
oh, I would have walked. There's no way in hell somebody would get back in a helicopter. Holy cow.
And
Oh.
I was crying and I tried to tell the paramedic that the IV was hitting my nerve.
Mm,
Um, and he couldn't understand me, so he put another one in and then just started the pain med and the anxiety medication. And it was a really interesting moment where you realize human to human connection because I'm in life flight, I can't move. And the sun is in my eyes. I can't tell him that the sun bugs me because he's can't really communicate with me. He has his headset on,
mm,
watching my vitals, and I try with my strength to just to reach for his hand just so I could hold his hand. So I'm holding this stranger's hand and going to the hospital. And it was once we got to the hospital, um, it was kind of like Grey's Anatomy, what you think of everyone was rushing, they were yelling things, and people were trying to talk to me. I did all the scans imaginable. Um, I was in pain. I
mm.
hated being on that backboard. And, they're telling me, oh, where's the pain? Is it muscle or is it in your spine? I'm like, I don't know. I just hurt.
Mhm.
And um, try to manage it with pain meds. And then they put me in the recovery room. And I was kind of in this space where I didn't want to see anybody. I wasn't
Mm,
eager to see my family. I wasn't eager to go home. I was just kind of in this like blip of time where I didn't recognize what was going on, or I felt very out of touch with myself.
mhm,
And it was scary. And then my dad came in and everyone came in to see me. And at this time, it was probably like 9 o'clock at night. So I'd been through like the trauma bay for a couple of hours. Like we'd mentioned, I had no physical injuries. There was no bumps, bruises, scrapes, swelling. There was nothing. And to kind of put you in perspective of where we were, is was just pine trees. And so as the helicopter was spinning, we it fell on its side and was kind of like, what's that game called where you drop the little token and it goes like ding ding
Flunko?
ding ding. Yes, it's like
Mhm.
that. It was like that where the helicopter just kind of went back and
Bounced
forth and
around through
forth.
the trees.
And the thing is I only know that that happened because I had an out of body experience.
Interesting.
So, going back to when I was trying to find my seatbelt with my dad, and then I forgot I don't remember.
Mhm,
It took me about like 3 or 4 weeks to realize that I'd actually seen what had happened. And um, I'm a very like faithful person, and I actually saw the helicopter crash. And I saw my body inside the helicopter, and that's how I knew that my dad fell on top of me. My dad doesn't really remember, but it turns out that the side that I was hurting on, so I'd fallen on my right side, but the
mhm,
side that my dad fell on top of me was the same side he had bruises on his lung.
mm,
And so I had seen him kind of like everything shift on my side as we were falling to the ground. And it was interesting. I wasn't scared. I wasn't, it was like my body seemed lifeless, because I was seeing it from a different perspective. And
mm.
the point of view that I had, I actually recognized some people who had passed on. before me and my family,
Mm,
specifically my grandparents, and we didn't talk. Um, we didn't really like look at each other, but after the helicopter had kind of landed, I remember kind of like looking back and recognizing the faces,
mm,
and then I woke up on the ground. So it was very interesting that I saw, I, you know, what had happened, but I didn't feel
mhm,
it. Whether that was my body protecting myself and my brain, whether it was another, that's why I call it a miracle, is because
mhm,
it, I didn't feel any pain. Um, I didn't remember like being inside my body in the crash. So a lot
mm,
of like the possible post-traumatic or like triggers that I thought that I would have, I don't.
huh,
I don't like I don't get nervous in a car. I don't get nervous maybe some other like ways that you would think. Um, tipping over or go like
mhm.
swaying side to side. Um, it was very like that chunk was just blocked out.
Yeah,
And I thank my body for it and to
yeah,
sense it, um, that when we don't have control, it goes into the best state for us of the fight or flight, but also like that freeze mode where
mhm,
I'm grateful that I don't have those memories.
mhm, mhm. Wow. Yeah, I definitely, in my accident, 911 recordings, you can hear me screaming,
Hmm.
um, but I don't remember any of that. And I saw my grandfather who had died 3 years before my accident. So it's neat to see we have a little bit of overlap with that, where you had this outer body experience and you got to see your grandparents.
Hmm.
Um, it is beautiful when some, I mean, horrific for what you went through, as for my story as well, but like for that moment that we got to share with our loved ones and that like that peace that we felt in such a dire situation. And you know, you say you're thankful for not remembering, and I'm thankful that you don't remember it as well. And for you then to come to and have that adrenaline pumping, your dad, your first thing is, "Dad, I'm alive." I mean, what powerful words to say, right? And then you hear your dad holler back to you, and his immediate reaction is getting you out of the helicopter. I mean, what a protective father, right? First mindset is like, "Hey, let's just get away from this." And um, wow, you speak so eloquently, and you delivered your testimony with so much grace. And it's when did this accident happen?
It's about almost to the day, I believe on Thursday. It will be 5 months.
5 months. you know
Hmm.
a lot of people that have gone through traumatic events, obviously yours is completely different than anybody else that I've met, would be unable to speak about it as calmly as you have. And would you say this composure that you have, has that taken work? Is it because of this outer body experience, or what allows you to speak so calmly about this hideous situation?
Taking a quick pause from today's episode, people have been asking about the hats and shirts that I wear on all of these podcasts. They're also asking where they can find my memoir. You can check everything out over at toroandtides.com. Again, that is toroandtides.com. My memoir, Forgetting to Remember, is also available on Amazon. That dives deeper into my own brain injury recovery journey. Alrighty, back to the episode.
Yeah, I believe that it was the out of body experience. Because I'll be completely honest, I haven't conceptualized that I could have died or that I
Hmm.
should have.
Hmm.
Um, Not in a derogatory or like negative way of like I deserve to die, no, but the percentage of people that get in helicopters, the percentage of people that crash in helicopters, and then the percentage of people who survive helicopter crashes are very slim to none.
Hmm.
And if you were to see photos of the wreckage, you would recognize that it's unbelievable. And that's
Hmm.
why I consider it a miracle. And so I can talk about it in the sense that I don't have hard feelings about the crash, because it was such a quick but bright experience, having
Hmm.
that out of body protection. But I don't believe or like come to understand that things could have turned out a lot differently.
Hmm.
And uh, that has taken a lot of work. Um,
Hmm.
going into things have taken time, and I feel like this is my crutch of this season of life where I know this, but reality or my world of what it was before is very foggy and confusing. And I have a
Hmm.
hard time getting in touch with reality. Um, I don't remember, like, my memory has gone from that happened in January of 2026. I don't remember August to December,
Mm.
unless someone cues me, like,
Hmm.
oh, we went here and did this for the holidays. Like, I can't push my memory past that.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't remember the details of what I've done the last couple of days. So I
Hmm.
feel like that was almost like my restart. That's like, or like my default is, if I try to jog what's happened the last couple of months, it just goes to January. And I feel like I replayed it and replayed it and replayed it, that I've made it it's comfortable for me because like that's kind of like my tipping point of like, okay, I know from January on, but then that's kind of where I'm at. I don't, and that's kind of an interesting part of brain injury is timeline,
Hmm.
timeline and like reality, where I remember very specific things and then I don't remember very broad or vice versa. And
Hmm.
it's tricky to understand really what is reality.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm sure you probably feel this way as well of grieving what your life was before the accident. Not necessarily how, like, what you were doing or where you were at in life, but having that connection to yourself and your like your place in real time. I don't know if you feel that way where you kind of grieve of that time, place, and person where after the accident for me, it's hard to get all those components and be still in the moment. I
Hmm.
kind of feel like the Oakley before then, nothing, I give her grace. I love that version of myself, but there's some grieving and longing to where I can't seem to grasp onto some of the normalities that I had.
Hmm. It's we have listeners on the show. Like this will go on YouTube as well, so they'll see the video. But for our listeners, as Oakley's been talking this entire time, I'm like a freaking bobblehead over here, just nodding along and agreeing to everything that you've been saying. Um, yeah, it is for me. Been a complete stripping of my identity
Mm.
before, like pre-accident Evan to who the Evan is sitting in front of you, completely different. And that's talking from a physical, a cognitive, emotional standpoint. It's yeah, you mentioned like giving the old Oakley grace, right? And I do that, and I have to give this new version of myself grace as well because I'm trying so hard to get back to that old Evan, and it's something that you're 4 months into it, 4 months into this new Oakley with a brain injury. I'm 7 years into, and it's for me it's been disheartening because and this is not to discourage you at all because like I can already tell talking to you, you're a very motivated person and a light and bubbly person. Like you just exude kindness and confidence. But I've worked my memory is so bad. And you talked about those minuscule or memories that don't stick, but then some big things stick, and it's almost like we can't grab what we get to hold on to, which it sucks. And people will jog our memories where we have no recollection of it, and then they say it and almost like it's like a linchpin. Like you, oh, wait a second. Yeah, I do remember that. As long as somebody jogs the memory. I mean, I used to be so physical before my accident, and I still, I mean, I can use all my extremities. I'm very thankful for that. I broke my neck in two places. I shouldn't be as physically able as I am now. But there's certain things I can't do because one of the biggest things I struggle with is chronic head pain. And if I exert myself too much, I'll be in the bed all day the next day because the pain's so bad. But I think for me at this part in my recovery, it's that chronic pain that's so
Mhm.
frustrating and so uncomfortable. The memory loss, and then we talked a little bit about this before we started recording was the isolation and
Yeah.
not having that person or those people that can really tap in and relate to what we're going through. And I feel so much comfort talking to you and hearing you talk because you get it. You're walking it right now. And it's, I wish you weren't, but there is this sense of community and this belonging that I've craved for years. And that's why I started this podcast. And it's so cool to meet you so early on after your accident. I mean, God, I cannot fathom that it happened 4 months ago. 4 months ago, right?
5, yeah.
5 months ago. But like, damn, Oakley, you're so strong. And you know, therapy's been a huge component in my recovery, and that's talk therapy, right? Also physical, speech therapy, occupational therapy. Have you been going to these rehabilitation facilities or treatments to get where you are right now?
Yeah, and, I appreciate the compliment. It makes me feel good in the sense that I wouldn't say I'm putting on a face, but I would definitely say that, there are some feelings behind it
Hmm.
and day to day, but I'm so confident of what I've gone through, and I think that exudes from that longing of somebody to understand and to
Hmm.
listen. Um, and it's hard, and I your world becomes a lot smaller, but then a lot larger in different areas. And going I have been doing a lot of therapies, to the point where it's exhausting. It consumes my whole day. I think to, "Okay, when's my next appointment?
Hmm.
What do I have next?" And that's a lot of from pressure for myself, but also a lot of pressure from the outside of when you can't see a brain injury and you don't know the extent of what someone's going through. um, you don't want someone to suffer, and I can understand that, and it takes but when people say like, "Oh, I hope you get well soon," or, um, wanting to see you succeed in your therapies, it almost creates more of an isolation where inside you feel like, "Okay, I'm trying so hard and I'm so exhausted to the point where I'm exhausted of trying."
Hmm.
And I feel like that's all I do is I try and I try and I try, and when you have 4 to 5 different doctor's appointments each week, and coming from a provider, they're like, "Oh, you're doing better." But then the next appointment, I know that it's been hard for me doing cognitive testing where they would test, like, simple what seemed like simple tests before and then after, or not before and after, I would say, like, at a certain date and then a couple weeks later, and I was felt like I was in high school again of waiting for, like, that test that's gonna get me to the next level, and to hearing my results, was very upsetting because I wasn't improving like I wanted to,
Hmm.
uh, and it's hard when other people can see, like, "Oh, you're getting a little bit better," or this or that. I'm like, maybe it's because we're not talking about it as much. We're
Hmm.
not letting it in as much, whether that's from lack of, like, understanding or misunderstanding, or where I felt most isolated is using up all my energy to try and try and try again. And in my head, it just doesn't, it's not getting better.
Hmm.
And so part of it is I'm doing occupational therapy for my eye. So I lost some vision in my right eye. And I I went to the first appointment where they break you down, see what's going on with you, right? And she's like, your eye is going like this. I was like,
Mm.
it is. And she's like, yeah. I was like, well, um, oh, we're gonna send you to occupational therapy. Now you have to go through this occupational therapy for your eye. I didn't even know that was a thing. I was like, I learned how to read in elementary school, but I didn't know that years later at 24 years old, I'd be having to learn how to read again.
Hmm.
And that's because my right eye doesn't track. So I see words, but I see like a bold version and then two blurry versions, like above and below it, of the same word.
Mm.
So to try to keep my eyes focused to read the word takes a lot of strain and would create chronic headaches.
Mm.
So I see words, I see shapes, but I can't comprehend what I'm reading. And that's been hard to go through, but they gave me these special glasses that had like a prism to make my eyes come together. So call them neuro lenses. Um, and the said that she wanted me to have a tint on it. And I was like, oh, that would be really helpful because light. Light really bothers my eyes.
Mm.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be great with these glasses. And I get my glasses, and they are the most hideous, bright, like fluorescent orange pink that you've ever seen. Like
I've had
bad.
those. I've had those.
They were like
Those
not even,
lenses. I've had those. Yeah.
yeah, not even like 3D glasses at the movie theater. They were like, and I put them on and I just cried. I was like,
No.
there's no way I'm wearing these.
Did
There's
they
no way.
help?
Well, I tried them for like 2 weeks and then I
Mhm.
called the place and I said, I'm not wearing these because at night I made everything like black.
Mm.
And but I had to have these glasses before my doctors would let me drive.
Um,
Um to because like the peripheral vision and um even now like seeing like construction cones makes me dizzy.
huh.
So like any like lines on the road or shapes that are really close together that are repetitive make me dizzy.
And that's when it's in your peripheral vision, or you're saying
Like
just in any.
mhm,
Okay. Interesting.
like patterns like make me when I'm trying to move make me
Yeah.
dizzy.
Do the
Um
glasses help with that or no?
kind of. I called the place back and I said, get these tin out of here. I'm not wearing them.
Well, they can't
It
be that bad, Oakley.
was like Billie Eilish or John Lennon. It was pretty bad.
John Lennon, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Um, but yeah, going to eye therapy.
It's
I
brutal.
never, yeah, I never got into speech therapy, but I realize when I'm tired, I talk backwards.
Interesting.
So like when I hit that brain fatigue, I start talking backwards and not making sense.
Mm. Mm.
Or I do like the stall, like, eh, and then I
Mm.
get the word out when I get tired.
Hmm.
And that's kind of been like I wired tired, like I gotta lay down, like
Hmm.
stop. Do you
Mm.
ever get that way? Like, what are your symptoms like where you've pushed the limit and then it's like you have minutes to decide what you're gonna do and you need to rest?
Hmm. Yeah,
That
for me, it's I ice. I ice constantly, and I have to a nap. I rely on napping at least two, sometimes three times a day. The you mentioned mental fatigue or brain fatigue or brain fog too, right? I I have this window throughout the day where, like I'm at peak Evan, where like, oh, I'm functioning. I mean, to the capacity as this new Evan can, right? And I'd say it's maybe like 3 hours after waking up. I have like a 4-ish hour window after that, um,
Yeah.
where I feel like the engines are running. But damn, it's so frustrating. Word finding gets really challenging for me. It took a second for you to find light, right? Light was hard for your eyes. You're kind of like signaling, and I'm intentional. I knew what you wanted to say, but I'm intentional with not saying it because I get frustrated when people fill in the gaps for me. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's something that like frustrates you as well. And that may have been just, I mean, people forget words, right? And that may not have been a, word finding challenge for you. But I stutter too. I'll get stuck on a word. Um, and then, as of late, it's been so I was on a flight yesterday, and if anytime I'm in a new area when my surroundings aren't familiar, that increases the mental fatigue for me because it's like reestablishing. It's easy for me to operate in familiar environments. So if I'm home, I can kind of go on autopilot, right? But if I'm in a new place, it's rediscovering things. And so these last couple of days, or I guess yesterday and today, I was saying the wrong thing for certain objects. Like this, I'm holding up a water bottle. I was saying like, pitcher or like banana. It was weird. Like it wasn't, I was my wires were getting crossed. And I think you asked, again, this is freaking brain injury, Evan. You asked like, what do I do when I start getting that way? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just kind of like what your symptoms are of like when you know that you're hitting the threshold.
Yeah,
Um,
so it's that the cognition really starts to slow down, processing really slows down, and I start zoning out more, where it's like
mhm.
I just stare off into the abyss, and people are talking around me, but I'm not with them. And then the pain. So ever since I came out of my coma, I've not had a second without head pain, and my head pain will increase drastically when I'm hitting that threshold. And that's when I just shut the laptop and I go upstairs, I lay in my bed and I put ice over my eyes. Head pain has been one of the hardest. I mean, every day it's nonstop. But when I do push myself to the limit, that's one of the telltale signs for me. Is that chronic pain. And I wanted to go back to your therapies. You had mentioned marathons, right? You're 24.
Mhm.
Um, did you go to college?
Yeah, so it was actually I was supposed to graduate like 2.5 weeks after.
Oh,
So I was supposed to graduate early to mid-February.
okay. Was that walk across the stage graduation or complete semester graduation? Like you still had finals left?
I had my capstone, so I still had a little bit of time,
Mhm.
but I was finishing online while working full time. And
Okay.
so was everything just kind of stopped when the accident
Yeah.
happened. I had a lot of things planned up for the spring, achievement wise, in my
Mm,
work and school. I had just bought a house, just moved in.
mm,
So I was unsettled in my area.
mhm,
Um, op- really was what was around me. And yeah, it just stopped.
mhm.
And um, it was well going by. What were you wanting to say about the marathon?
Well, it's again 24. Your capstone. You're finishing up your capstone. You were already working full time. I mean, you had a
Mhm.
house, which is remarkable. I mean, amazing achievement for that marathon. So I was working full time in California as a sales rep with a Fortune 500 company. The accident happened. I had to move back in with my mom. Like my world came to a screeching halt, like whiplash, where unable to hold down a full time job. Well, no longer working. Now that marathon, that full time work turned into rehab, where I was in
Mhm.
rehab 5 hours a day,
Wow.
and then just like exhausted. afterwards because it was speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, education, because they were testing me to see if I had regressed after the
Mhm.
accident. And then talk therapy because they immediately wanted me to start unpacking it because I had really, really bad flashbacks. Um, but it's people don't understand that. They don't understand. I mean, Oakley, people that like say are watching this on mute for a second, they see you and I talking, nobody would assume you and I have brain injuries, right? And that's like that's a blessing and that's a curse. But like it's so frustrating people can't because they don't see, at least from my perspective, it's like, damn, you don't see what I juggle every day just to do this, to talk with you. I mean, I love it, but it's exhausting. I'm gonna have to go upstairs and nap after this. And this is a simple phone call. People do this for work 3 times a day. But now for like
Yeah.
me, this is my whole day.
Hey there. Have you learned about Plasticity Lab? No, you haven't? Look, you already got your phone out. Why don't you go to the App Store and download it? My app, Plasticity Lab, is free. It's right here. See it? Look at it. Cool. Again, it's called Plasticity Lab, and it gives you daily exercises for your brain. I built it, and I guarantee you're going to love it. All right, back to the episode.
So those marathons, I mean, like the 5 hour days of rehab, some days it'd only be 2 sessions. I'd be toast because that mental fatigue, that brain fog, and the people that don't have brain injuries, I mean, it's damn, they're living life. Like it's so cool. Like, and I enjoy it. Like for those of you that don't have a brain injury, because it's every day's taxing, and it's like the chips are stacked against us, and that's not depressing because like I'm one to go for a challenge and continue pushing, and it's just yeah, every day's a fight. And it's you that merit like it's like we're treading water, right? I've been in 19 different rehab facilities in the last 7 years. Like I'm still treading water and trying to. For me, for speech therapy, we really focus on my short-term memory, which is bad. So you mentioned tests, and where you get tested and then 3 weeks later you get tested again and you're disappointed because the test didn't reflect positive improvements.
Yeah.
So for me with speech therapy, I've been to so many. This sounds so messed up, but I can almost like in the beginning, I don't do this now, but like I could con the system where it's like, well, I know what you're going to quiz me on. I can just study ahead of time. Like I know the tricks and trades. But now like this last half of the 19, I'll graduate, I'll hit their ceiling because they're like, dude, we can't do any more exercises with you. You're doing great. But when I go back into the real world, 2 months later, I'm back in rehab because we're doing therapy in like a 10 by 10 room without distractions. So I can retain that information you're telling me. But then when you throw me out into a grocery store and I'm having a conversation with, somebody, I need a grocery list to follow, I'm going to forget half those things I'm supposed to get.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just, oh man, when you said marathon, I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, you get it. You're doing it. Like right now, you're doing it. Um,
And you
do
don't
you?
know. Like that's the thing is like you don't know. And like coming from a medical background of um what I got in the past for work and like having patients who've had brain injuries or other type of injuries, I know how much this affects people's life. And I think that was my aha, but also my oh shit moment where I
Mhm,
was like, okay, like I kind of get it because I've seen it and been on the caretaker side of it. But then now I'm like, oh shit, this is going to be a long time. This is
mhm,
not going to be, a bump or a broken bone. Not, not discrediting the other injuries, but it's going to be a while.
mhm,
And it's taken a while for me in the sense that I still forget my daily routine. Like I have lost an immense, like a lot of weight because I forget to eat.
mm,
And it's not because I forget, like I don't get hunger cues. But when I go to eat something, I just blank out. I
mm,
don't remember. It's like, okay, PB&J. Okay, cool. And then I get in my kitchen and I'm like, how do I do it?
Mm, mm-hmm.
I don't I know in my head that it's like, okay, bread, knife, peanut butter, and jelly, whatever. And but when I get in the kitchen, I'm just like, oh, I will. Did I come in here to replace the trash can? Like get
Mm-hmm.
a sack?
Yeah.
I just can't, like that step. I know like a list, but I have a hard time getting from step to step.
Mm-hmm.
Or like even like getting ready in the day. I still have to sometimes I'll try to FaceTime somebody or ask chat, like, does this outfit go together? Like
Thank
my
God we have
coordination,
chat.
right? Like my coordination doesn't go, or
Mm-hmm.
crap, I see the dog, or
Mm-hmm.
like it was really sad for me when I was honest with my therapist. They're like, "What is your goal?" And I was like, "Well, what's most important to you?" And the two things were having conversations and making eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one was being able to take care of my daily routine, uh, which was in the home, which was eating, bathing, and dressing.
Mm-hmm.
And I I still haven't perfected it, um, but it's those things where I was like, goals look a lot different from a brain injury side point of view.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Still get frustrated that we're not hitting benchmarks, but your goals are a lot more. I feel like almost wholesome,
Yeah.
like almost like, oh, tender, like I just want to like hold you or hug you and be like, it's okay, like bless your heart, but it's my heart. And I'm like,
Yeah. 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 Oh, it's so frustrating. And I think I completely get it with that, the goals that we set. For me, what's helped me change my optics just a little bit is getting out of bed is a win for me to start the day, right? Because it'd be so easy given what we've gone through to be like, I'm not gonna do anything today, right? Like it's okay to feel like it's like, oh, woe is me. No, but like for you, Oakley, you went to therapy today. Like that should be a goal, right? When you have therapy on the calendar, you go to it. Hell yeah, check that off. Now you mentioned this is interesting that you mentioned this, um, like PB&J, right? The steps to make one, or getting in the kitchen and then forgetting why you were in the kitchen. That's happened to you.
yeah,
So, two experiences that happened early on for me is um, I'm no like professional gift wrapper, but I know how to wrap a present.
okay.
And I had it was somebody's birthday, and I had a gift. It was a simple square, like it wasn't one of those crazy things to wrap. Literally, you just like fold, 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 tape. For the life of me, my brain could not do that. I cut the paper. I was like, I don't know what the next step is. It's so silly. Like it's right in front of me. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I can't. It was not, my brain could not comprehend. It was like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. And then my
Mhm.
mom had to like do it. I was so frustrated. But the other thing is, oftentimes I would go into my room to do something and I'd blank. I'd not come to, but I'd be in there. It's like, why am I in here? Like, am I going to brush my teeth or am I going to like get a t-shirt? And that got really scary for me because it began happening more and more. Have you been tested for seizures?
I haven't.
And this is not to scare you at all. For me, my doctor flagged that and he was like, "Hey, let's test you just because your brain might be misfiring." I got diagnosed with having seizures because I started having a lot of those episodes. And they didn't catch it on the first neurological visit where you do like a 20-minute one. I had to take it home for I think it was 48 hours with the electrodes on my head. And again, like
Oh, wow.
this is just like homies looking out for each other. Like I just like early on, I wish I had caught that earlier. I kept brushing it off as like I'm just tired, like I'm in a new environment. But there's stuff that I've learned so much along the way where that stuff's scary. Like when you get into a kitchen, or do you live by yourself, Oakley? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, do you check in with anybody? Like, do your parents? I'm sure your parents check in with you constantly, right? Like after this.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Um, I have been more. willing to tell people what I've done today. If I remember,
Yeah.
like, oh, I did this, or I did this, to kind of
Hmm.
like, what's the word, like, prompt them to ask me
Yeah.
of what I've done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's been a lot of
Hmm.
lists that I give myself, um, that I try to check off. But I wanted to ask, going back on the seizure thing,
Hmm.
do you feel like since your accident that your care plan was pretty much like laid out for you? Or did you feel like they like initially, or do you
Hmm.
feel like you have to advocate for yourself? Because like for me,
Yeah.
I felt like no one was, even providers, like they weren't listening to me. And
Yeah.
I had like I my neck pain. I have
Hmm.
extreme neck pain. And the physical therapist kept manipulating it to where it got worse. And I was like,
Oh.
I screamed at him. I was like, got off the table and I was like, "You're hurting me."
Yeah.
And he's like, "We need to loosen it. You need some tough love." And I'm like, "No." So I advocated and I pushed for a provider to get an MRI on my neck. And that's
Hmm.
when I thought that my I think it was C5 and C6 were herniated towards my spinal cord and
Oh.
pushing spinal cord. And like that was my first click of like, that's how close I was to being paralyzed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I have bulging discs into my spinal cord, like they call it the Therasac, but like pushing on it, and I was like, wanted to middle finger everybody and be like, I told you I was hurting, and you were hurting me more. I've had to do that for like nerve testing because I have a lot of nerve pain that radiates down my arm and
Yeah.
down my
That's from
all
the
my.
neck injury.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
they wouldn't push me. So I pushed for the, I don't know what the acronym is, but a nerve testing.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is what it feels like down my whole left side of my body. And the provider was like, well, your nerves are responding just fine. Maybe you have cubital tunnel. And I just was like,
Mm.
which is like the joint on your elbow, like
Okay.
where a nerve is either crossing or being pinched at your elbow.
Oh, you're
Like
saying
when
like
you hit,
tennis elbow?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Or like when
We're
you hit
not
your
all
foot.
medical professionals, Oakley. Okay.
Sorry. Um, but I just was like, okay, now what? And they're like, hmm. I'm like, okay. So it's
That
been
pisses me off so much.
a lot of advocating of like
Yeah.
I'm hurting and there's no answer or
Hmm.
the pathway. And so that's where still feel like it gave me peace. Like I meant to say peace. What's the word? Made me feel comfortable. Where you're like, hey, friend, like I didn't realize this was my issue. I kept thinking I was having brain shortages,
Hmm.
but now
Hmm.
classified it as having seizures. You might be able to find some relief. And
Yeah.
that's where
I
I've
mean,
been like feeling is like I need something.
I mean, you asked if there was like a treatment plan kind of carved out for me. There wasn't. And the word that you used, advocacy too, like that has been at the top of my list since the ex. I mean, and I've told that to everybody that's come on this show is you truly have to advocate for yourself. Like, even if it seems like you're being over descriptive, tell them everything, right? And take notes. And especially if your short term memory isn't as great as it used to be, like mine. I mean, I would journal a shit ton and I would just word vomit on my neurologist or my primary care doctor and then just keep pounding it. Well, why is this happening? What do you think it is? Well, why do you think it's like that? Right? Like question their authority or their recommendations because I I've am slowly becoming like more into or like working with these brain injury advocacy groups or I've met a lot of people in the brain injury community and it's prevalent that there's no solid pathway for people that have brain injuries. But I mean, it's kind of to be expected, right? Because every brain injury is like a snowflake. They're all going to be different. And it's finding, the right provider that actually takes your symptoms and your fears seriously. okay, well, let's
Yeah.
try this or let's try that. And um, when I was in the hospital and I was in inpatient therapy, they had it down to an art, right? I mean, like I was in rehab constantly or, given meds on time. And but when I left and when I was in Texas with my mom, it's like they washed their hands of me. Good luck. Like they didn't even refer me to a neurologist. I had to find one on my own. Like I had to go to my primary care doctor, be like, well, what's next? Um, so yeah, I mean, that's why I love doing this. This is why I love having like creating these bridges with other brain injury survivors. It's because I want to share what I know with them and learn from them as well, like the fails and what's worked and what hasn't. But I would definitely get with your neurologist or an epilepsy specialist to see if they could give you some testing on that because that is scary. And ever since I've been diagnosed with having seizures, it's like a seesaw. You really have to keep balancing the medications because I've had breakthrough seizures where those episodes of like walking into a room and forgetting while you're there for me turned into, well, where am I? Like for a minute or two, where it's like I just come back to reality and I disappeared for a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and so like again, that I'm gonna keep up with you, Oakley, and I'm gonna freaking stay on top of you. Be like, have you gotten done yet? Have you looked? Because it's all we. I mean, really, brain injury, survivors. That's all we got because we're the ones going through it. Like we can ping pong off each other. Of, hey, I've tried this. Like people have recommended hyperbaric chambers for me, and I've tried it. It didn't help, but it helped them, and that's cool. Like it's almost pulling stuff out of a candy jar. Hey, this one tastes good. This one worked. Try
Yeah.
it. And oh, I hated that. That didn't. Um, good God, I mean, 4 months. I, did your dad suffer a brain injury or no?
Mm, no.
Okay. And so again, wow, the day of, you said your vision, everything started spinning, right?
Hmm.
And then now later on, we find out that your right eye's not teaming with your left eye or vice versa.
Yeah, it's my right eye. So it was about a week after to
Hmm.
where I had someone staying with me overnight and she's like, "You're not right." And so then it took like all of the symptoms of all my senses changed. Um, I couldn't think. I had no personality, no emotion.
Hmm.
Um, which my emotion's still coming back. I went to a
Hmm.
funeral on Saturday and I felt like so embarrassed because everyone else around me is crying and I'm just like I just can't express emotion.
Hmm.
Like I don't know if I feel it or make it,
Hmm.
but I do because like I'm talking to you, but like we said, when we're outside of this safe space, like in the outside world, I'm just kind of like, ooh, butterfly. you know? And
Yeah.
yeah, it took a while to realize to like really keep in my bucket of like each symptom I was seeing, and then it built up to where I felt like, okay, I'm not right,
Hmm.
and then I
Hmm.
somebody else. But as far as like injuries and the crash went, the pilot and the front passenger didn't have there was a little cut on his head, the pilot's head that bled, and then the passenger had like a goose egg, and then dad just like felt like he had bruised ribs for weeks
Hmm.
due to that bruising of his lung.
Hmm.
And so there's a lot of like I'm trying to think of the word. I wouldn't say guilt, but like some anxiety that came around when people asked about the accident. And you're like, oh, I'm the only one that got hurt. Kinda it
Hmm.
came across as like that I was faking it or making it a bigger deal because
Yeah.
nobody else got injuries. So like you would think that when you're in a boat together and you all tip over, you all get wet. Like you
Hmm.
all are in a helicopter and you crash, you all get hurt. But going back to that miracle is like even the tree branch went right through the pilot's legs and
Jeez.
didn't touch him. Didn't touch him.
That's insane.
So it's been interesting to navigate that as well as trying to decide where you fit in to your story when there's other people involved and not. come across. I don't know if it's you feel this way, but I have an increased amount of anxiety of like how people perceive me now,
Yeah.
of like
Uh,
attention or like pity or like when I try to express myself or tell people how to take care of me or how to love me or how to communicate with me better, they don't take it very well. Um, which I can understand 'cause not everyone likes to be told what to do.
mhm,
A lot of anxiety with me communicating with people when it comes to my interpersonal relationships with them.
mm.
Have you felt that? Like how did your mom react? How did she help you through? Did she listen in on your therapies or your rehabs? Like how did she know what to do and how to help you?
So I think that, I mean, that's still something we try to balance to this day. Because she, I mean, she was at the hospital. She saw me in a coma. And that's, I mean, that's even traumatic for a parent to see their kid in such a vulnerable state. And she was with me in the hospital. And then she would come and sit in on doctor's appointments. I would do rehab by myself, right? Because it'd be almost be like going to class, but she'd be sitting outside waiting for me. Um, but it's, I think for me, when I started getting frustrated with the caregiving aspect, because my brother and my sister-in-law would help as well. Um, I wanted that independence so bad where I'd get frustrated with them. Like, no, no, I can do that. Like, don't. And you talked about your emotions where it's almost like you're numb. Um,
Mhm.
that was real big early on because I suffered. A lot of people suffered. A lot of people left my life soon after
Yeah.
the accident, and that made that numbness like even worse. Where it was just, well, shit, like, okay, I guess this is life now, whatever. And it was, I think that numbness turned to me just closing off my emotions. And it became a very black and white where I'm either all in or I'm completely out. And that went for everything in life. And I still wrestle with that today. There's really like no gray zone for me where like the people that had left my life have left my life, you're never welcome back. Like, I don't even want to
Yeah.
talk to you. I don't want to see you because I needed you the most in those early months, early years. And you left, like, whatever. Maybe it's easier for you not to be a part of it because you don't like seeing somebody you love suffer. But damn, that's not the way to go about it. I like, again, I didn't know what brain injuries were before my accident. I used to be a news anchor reporter and I covered brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries. And when they left the hospital, I'd be like, oh, they're great. It's like a broken arm. It's not. And maybe it's the ignorance to it where they don't understand it completely. But yeah, that numbness. And you talked about how I communicate with my mom. I still get frustrated with her. There is some tension sometimes. Same with my brother. Same with my girlfriend because it almost all circles back to that misunderstanding
Mhm.
where it's almost like you want to shake them to remind them, like, no, like I'm not intentionally forgetting that, or like, no, I can't. Oh, I'm a work in progress. We're all, I mean, even if you don't have a brain injury, you're a work in progress, right? But I just feel like, golly, communication is key. But when you go to that anxiety, right, of like having you express that or share that, man, I bottle everything up. And I just like, I think that's what works against me is then that frustration boils over where it's I try to avoid those conversations because I feel embarrassed. I think that's the
Yeah.
big thing. It's like, why do I have to say this to them? I don't I, like that's I want to be better or I shouldn't have to. It's so weird, Oakley. Like it's that dichotomy where it's important to be communicative and tell them how you're feeling and you're struggling in this certain aspect of recovery, but no, that's being too vulnerable and people have left my life. So I'm not going to do that because if I do, they're going to leave it's so weird. It's such a weird, you're like, shit, I'm 4 months in and this idiot 7 years out. Screw that.
Right. I'm like, okay, hopefully.
No, no,
No,
no. I mean, every journey is different, but
it's a
well, I
grief.
feel you. I feel you. I mean, shit. I mean, you agreed. You said people have left your life. Is that friends, family, everything, or
Both
yeah?
friends, family, the community.
Yeah.
And I call it my injury, like my postpartum 2 weeks. I know that's a bad reference, but it was like the first like 2 weeks, everybody, and I knew that this would happen. I actually wrote down the name of every single person that reached out to me within
Hmm.
the first week. When, because I mean, my story went viral. Like Robin
Mm.
Robbins, Good Morning America, is helping I recover fully. Like
Oh.
it went everywhere.
Hmm.
And so I'm writing down like everybody's name, and I got to like 250, and it just didn't spark anything in for me. I was like, okay, cool. But out of these 250 people that messaged me or called me, I was still asking people to bring me meals. I was still asking people to come sit with me. I was asking people to call or to go run an errand with me because I couldn't get out of the house, the anxiety of it. And it's hard to decide between somebody's capacity and somebody's willingness.
Hmm.
And I feel like I still don't have that answer, but I'll try to teach people like a spoons theory or like your piggy bank of how much it costs you each day. I try to explain that to somebody like, okay, you getting dressed might take you 10 cents, but for me it's a quarter. And
Hmm.
then by the time, going to eat, deciding what to eat, that's like 10 cents for me. And I try to like explain it to them in that way. And I had these expectations of like, okay, they're gonna do it. And when it didn't happen, there was a lot of grief and sadness and being like, well, why do I have to ask for people to love me? And I still feel this way a little bit. I feel so hard to love in the sense of I feel like I'm not in the condition. Like I still love them, but I don't love them. That's when I talked about my old self. Is like I used to be the person that was very overgiving and very like anxiously attached to people. Where like give, 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 give. Like I don't think about me. I just wanted to love everybody and hug them all. And then now when I'm in this position where I'm like, I can't reciprocate that. I still love you and I still care about you, but I can't go to the extents that I used to. It made things fizzle away where I was keeping things alive
Hmm.
uh, that weren't really mutual.
Hmm.
And like, and especially like the survival part of it, where I had people from like high school or elementary school even be like, Instagram DM me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you survived." And I was like, "Why are you glad? We haven't talked in like 10 years."
Yeah.
Like, when people are like, "Oh, I'm so glad that you're alive." It made me think of like, why? Because of what I did for you, or like what? Like, if I were to have not, what would be lost in that
Mm.
sense? That's been something that I've worked through in like talk therapy a lot. Is like the give and take in relationships and feeling like okay, well, I had this accident that some people think of when they're kids of like, oh, I wonder if I got in an accident, who would show up? And then it happens to you, and then you're like, oh shit, it's not as glamorous, or you don't have this entourage, people being like, oh, marry me. I've always loved you. I'll confess my love for you at your bedside. Like, it's not like that. And
Hmm.
there's work to keep those relationships, and that's exhausting too. So
Yeah.
I wanted to throw my hands up and be like, why can't someone just love me or do this for me? Or can they see that I told them I have a hard time making food? Like, why can't they just be like, hey, I'm gonna DoorDash you something. What do you want?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I feel like it just goes like beyond injuries in the sense of like human connection that we have to teach people how to love us. And with brain injuries, you can teach them and give them what you know, but it's hard when it doesn't go through on their end. And it's been hard
Hmm.
for my parents. they've told me to straight to my face of like, I see old pictures of you and you're different. You
Wow.
don't have the same light within you. Like there's no like people tell me like there's no life to me. And I'm like, okay, like because I'm not I mean, like talking through it, I'm very expressional, but like outside of that, I just don't have the happy go lucky to me anymore because there's so much I'm working through.
Hmm.
Or I wish that, ever since your brain injury or making like jokes that weren't funny of like, oh, well, you'll get that when you hit your head, or I'm grateful my daughter like saved me from getting more hurt. She got more hurt than I did. Like just like comments and
Hmm.
from other people where I'm like, so my circle's gotten smaller.
Mm.
And so thank you for reaching out in the sense of like each time I am vulnerable and share something on social media and I have somebody reach out and be like, I don't know you, but I love you and I get what you're going through. It ignites me a little bit to where I'm like, okay, somebody does, and it's like I want to give to them tenfold now, and
Hmm.
then the next person, then the next person, the next person, and I think that's been the number one thing for me is my external world and dynamic has changed. Where
Hmm.
friends I was close to, I mean, I called my ex the night of the accident to come pick me up. I
No
was
way.
like, I just did it. Like, I need you. Come pick me up.
Yeah.
And like, I just felt like I was reaching for straws of like, okay, something really did happen. Who do I know that will show up?
Wow. Yeah. Man, I shit, Oakley. I feel for you. That I think that's one of the I mentioned that in the beginning, like the isolation, right, has been I think one of the most painful and challenging things to work through. I um I was engaged before the accident, and then she stuck around for about a year and then called it quits. Where that I think made me even more apprehensive to entertain any other relationships because you're just like, God, Lee, like I had aspirations and we had talked about a future together and kids and then this happens and we're a couple weeks away from, saying our vows for better or for worse, and you're just gonna throw that away after like, yeah, this accident sucked, but we'd already said we were gonna stay together. And um yeah, it's just dynamics change, family, friends, and your outer circle. I mean, you really see who does. I say in the face of what do I always say? It's um, uh, this is word finding. Give me one sec, I'll get it. Trauma brings out the true colors of people. Where you're going to see who's thick as hell and in it with you, or who's not, because those fringe friends or those fringe friends or those best friends that we had before the accident where you're like, oh yeah, if anything happened, I know they get come to my side. No, it's bullshit. You called your ex to come catch you. Like that's wild. Hell of a person to come pick you up. That's awesome. But
Yeah, I was like, hey, you
man,
remember where I live, right?
and for that breaks my heart to hear your family. I think you said your parents say, "But you don't have that light in you anymore." I mean, come on. I don't know them, but that's completely inappropriate to say to somebody who has just suffered a catastrophic injury in a horrific accident. And then, sure, the playful banter, like, "Oh, you at least you saved me from getting injured worse." Is like, damn, my life got flipped upside down, dude. Like, I'm 24. This is I don't know how old your dad is, but maybe 3x your age. Like, you've lived. This is what I get to live with for the rest of my life. And I'm like, I'm starting over again. But again, I don't know, like I have dark humor some, in certain aspects, but like, damn dad, read the freaking room, dude. um, I
Yeah,
uh I hate that. I hate that for you. Because oh my God, you're already dealing with enough. Like you're going to occupational therapy. cognitive therapy. And the last thing you need is either people hurting you emotionally with comments like that or leaving your life. That's when you really wish a community would come together in
Mm-hmm.
something so tragic. And yeah, you said like the postpartum 2 weeks. I forget how you said it, but it's like, yeah, everybody's going to flood you. High school friends are going to text you. Elementary schools are going to text you, or friends are going to text you. And it's like, ooh, I didn't have this number saved. Thanks, I guess. Like, and then, 3 weeks later, silence.
Yeah.
And that hurts because, I mean, they might see you out in the grocery store and, oh, you look great, Oakley. It's like, well, F you, take a walk in my shoes for a second.
I hate that. People say, "You
Oh,
look so good," and I was like, "Yeah, I curled my hair. Um, I try so hard to feel normal, and
hmm
I try to get ready, or when I like days that I don't. But I think that's
hmm
one thing that I hate hearing is, "Oh, but you look so good," and and I hate like hearing other people's emotions about my accident. I'm like, why are you upset that I crashed? Like it's hard, like I should be upset that I crashed, or people are like, oh, like, you don't know how it feels to know that you went through something so bad and traumatic. And I was like, huh?
No, I
I
do
was like,
know because I live it firsthand.
yeah, I'm like, here's the baton, your turn. Like, I don't know how else to react. And my parents are like,
Oh,
well, you don't know what it's like. And I'm like, okay, but you don't know what it's like to be the person either.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
So
golly. Oakley, I'm gonna ask you this might well, I'm just gonna ask. Are you happy? Are you happy right now, you think?
I actually talked to my therapist about that today. Is that was something that I wanted to work through in my emotions is to be able to experience joy.
hmm You don't think you ever
And
experienced that or haven't experienced that in the last 4 months?
there's been some glimmers, but it's been really hard. And so that's been something that I told him was my goal in therapy. It was my first visit with him because I decided that
hmm
I was ready to talk about it. And I just said, getting my emotions back, I want to be able to experience joy because I'm so numb. I'm so
hmm
like, the best way I can describe it is when you talk to your significant other and or like woman's like, what are you thinking about? And the guy's like, nothing. And she's like, no, come on, like, what are you thinking about? And you're like, nothing. Like the no man's think box, not to be, gender specific, but like I get it. Like I'm
hmm
just like this numb and like when is it gonna end? And I know all of the theories of like, oh, I can't be happy when or I can't be happy if, that I can choose to be happy now and I think that's what I'm working through and reframing is little things. Um, because I'm more aware of my surroundings,
hmm
where I'm like, oh, it's really cute when my dog does this. Or I realize now that she gets excited every time I get home when before I like brushed it off and was like, move, I gotta get through.
hmm
Or like outside, like I just laid on my grass yesterday and was sitting there talking to a neighbor and I was like, I don't remember the last time I looked up at the clouds and made shapes out of the clouds. So I feel like it's hard. Um, I feel a lot of pressure to feel happy,
hmm
but I also am frustrated that I don't feel it like emotion. Like, you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't feel emotions very
hmm
well. So it's
hmm
hard for me. Like, I haven't tapped into finding that joy or excitement again. But then I know that they're around and there's little
hmm
places to find them, but I don't always know how to connect with it. So I would say yes and no. Working on
hmm
it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's a fair and honest answer to it, and that like where you're at right now is a fine place to be. Like that's you don't have to. Easier said than done, but I've been there. I mean, I think if I could rewind the clock, I'd give myself more grace when it came to that because the more and more like I got frustrated at myself for not feeling, I think was harder for me to feel. That's like almost like contradictory, right? Where it's like, why aren't you doing this? Why, like, you should be sad right now. Why are you not sad? And when, like, I mean, you brought up the funeral where people are crying. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's I think it could just be, again, your body's been through. I'm no medical professional. You're obviously a medical professional, but from my opinion, living in, I think in such an acute phase for you, your body's still in that like protecting mode where your brain's doing so much work already to heal, to recover the neuroplasticity, right? And it's like, well, the lowest thing on the list right now is like we can focus on emotions later or those feelings. Like let's get you through the day. Let's allow you to pour that cup of coffee or to lay in the grass. And um, I hope in time, and I know in time those emotions will come back. And I know you said you can find glimmers of them here and there, like the little things with your dog. That's the best thing about dogs. I got a puppy now. It's like, damn, dude, I want that. You come in the anytime you leave the dog, you can leave the dog with scolding it. You come back and it's happy to see. It's like that's the energy I need. Like that's amazing. Um, man, I can't thank you enough for being this vulnerable with me and the our listeners because this is what needs to be heard. It's not picture perfect. It's not at the end of the accident like life's great again. I'm me. It's like that's not a brain injury. And this is, I'll say it, I think I've done close to 20 of these episodes. This is the rawest, realest one. And I'm not discounting all the other ones I did. It was like all their stories were impactful and shocking and beautiful. And maybe this one is just more stripped down because it's so like it's so fresh in your mind. Like
Yeah.
it's like this is being captured at such a oh my God, like the window, right? I mean, I would, I don't know how I mean, this is cool because, and it's not cool what you're going through, but why I say cool is because in like 3 years, I'm going to show you this video again, and I guarantee you we're going to be seeing a different version of Oaklee. Still brain injury Oaklee, but it's going to be Oaklee that's, able to feel some of those emotions that are currently numb, you know? And I mean, you're a effing fighter. And I hate that the support system that you need is not stepping up. God, it makes me want to like go wherever you are and just have stern words to say to them. Because it's so important to have that. And I am gonna stay in your life. Like just because the podcast ends, this does not end our communication. Because I want to know how you're doing. And I'll probably DoorDash you food, not because you said it, but I mean, I've done that to other people on the show because they're just having bad days and that can change someone's day around. Not even, I mean, it's simple gestures like that or a simple hello of a text in the morning where it's like, okay, yeah, I can get out of bed today. Like, you know, Evan just sent me a stupid GIF again. Like, need to block him, but I'll get out of bed because my dog needs to pee. Man,
Yeah.
what right now, what therapies are you on? Are you still in cognitive and occupational?
Yeah. Cognitive, occupational, physical therapy, and then neuropsychology and talk therapy. So
Okay.
5.
Wow. And you're in it every day of the week?
Yeah, usually. So like occupational therapy with my eye, I'll do every like check in with her every 2 weeks, but I'll do like take home homework. So I have about 4 to 5 different doctor's appointments every week.
Is this your full-time job right now? Are you unable to go back to your school for your did you finish your not a thesis, what is it called?
Capstone.
Yeah, were you able to obviously not.
They actually kicked me out of the school because I tried to do a term break and they told me I was supposed to respond to an email and I didn't know which one. So they withdrew me from the school. And then I fought my way back into it the last couple of months and was like, look, I did not mean to do that on purpose. So I'm re enrolled in school for August.
Okay.
and I try to finish that out because I have time
Hmm.
uh, with the university that I go through online. So trying to finish that, but I have to I have to pay my bills, so I'm going back. I work part time.
Okay.
Um, I I actually build wheelchairs for people.
No way.
Yep.
Holy
I
cow.
I am it's like a type of medical device. I would consider like sales, but I'm like a rep
Hmm.
where I get these new orders and go to their, make sure the paperwork's clean, go to their house, get to know their whole life, decide what type of product to put them in, motorized from like high-end motorized wheelchairs with robotic arms to basketball players in wheelchairs. Like
Wow.
I design them and put them
You design
together.
them?
Yeah,
Oh, that's badass. That's cool.
authorize them, send them through insurance, and then when they come to me, I build them, put them together, fit them in it, I repair them. So it's been hard to step away completely from work.
Yeah.
These people who are considerably in different conditions than I am need me.
Hmm.
And so that's been really challenging too, is trying to get back to life.
Yeah.
They need me. I need some steadiness and to
Hmm.
keep my fits and work really. But I've had to have that serious conversation with myself of like, is this a caseload I can take forever? Because it's a
Hmm.
lot. It's a
Hmm.
lot. And do I need to switch gears? Um, my degree is in healthcare administration.
Okay. Okay.
So
Wow.
I
Talk
need to
about a
like,
rewarding job though, to see,
oh,
like the project come full circle.
yeah, it's awesome. So
Man.
slowly but surely, I can, like you said, your window each day. I'm working 10 to 12 hours a week.
Yeah, I don't know
Uh,
how you do that.
and doctor's appointments that are about 15-20 minute commute from where I'm at here in Utah.
Uh, you're driving or not driving?
Yeah, I started driving like 2 months ago.
Okay.
So I wasn't driving for like 8 or 9 weeks.
Mm.
So I was Ubering to appointments.
Ubering?
Yeah.
Man, talk
If
about
my
God, like,
then I would Uber.
jeez. Holy cow. I mean, completely independent in recovery. I mean, sure, you have family but like managing a home by yourself and cooking and I honestly don't know how you do it. I can't. Yeah, that's very admirable. There's no way. I mean, I still can't do that. I need help with that. And to know you're 4 months out, you freaking show off, making me look like a lazy bum over here. Golly. We're never gonna air this episode, Oakley.
You're like, actually, no,
So
that's
what's you what?
I said it's been tough because I just don't have the support.
That's heartbreaking. That is really tough to hear. You got somebody to help over here if you need it, whether that's just like positive reinforcement or a reminder to do something. I mean, I live and die by my calendar alerts. If I didn't have that set up, I'd miss every medical appointment.
I did that this morning. I wrote it down as 11 for therapy, and for some reason in my head, I was like 9 o'clock. It's at 9. I showed up at 9 o'clock, and they're like, "You're not here till 11." And I was like,
All the time. Yeah. Or I'd show up the wrong day. If they read me a number over the phone, alphabet soup. Like I'll write the wrong digit, the wrong yeah, that's holy cow. I need emails for my time slots. Golly.
"You need
What's
paper."
you what?
Almost like you need paper.
Yeah, yeah.
Or Pony Express to me, please.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what's next? What do you obviously you're in therapy and this will continue for a while. What will what does success look like to you? Do you capture it in days? Do you capture it in weeks or months? How do you get yourself out of bed in the morning? Like, hey, I'm going to attack another goal. If that's all kind of a weird question to ask, but I am curious. I mean, success for you.
I think a lot of it would be finding a balance. Um, like say, oh my gosh, you can tell I'm getting tired.
Same sister.
What success looks like for me is to be balanced. Um, to be able to manage what needs to be done and then what I'd like to do. Um, kind of having not being so stressed and focused about like work or what needs to be done and not be so heavy on the play side
Hmm.
of like forgetting about, just nothing matters, just gonna go play. So being balanced, I think would say is like the best success for me. And that would look like our next goal would be to manage. Okay, like right now, my goal is to manage the hours I do work and what I'm doing when I'm home. I've been getting in. I like golf. It was a big win for me to go hit a bucket of balls after
Nice.
work. Um, kind of like how it's such a developing question, but to structure my days where I feel a little bit more balanced to the point where I can look at a week and be like, okay, I'm not exhausted from work. I'm not stressed because I put off work or life. So just to find solitude and peace in each step. So as I
Hmm.
increase the hours at work or I increase my social butterflyness or I increase or decrease my therapies, really just trying to find peace and ride the wave rather than, yeah.
Fight the current. Yeah. No, I feel you. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Oakley, look, you're getting tired. I'm getting tired. Well, we can wrap this episode up, but again, I can't thank you enough. This was very eye-opening, very sobering. It truly brought me back, 6, 7 years ago. And I think that's important. A good lesson for me is it's so easy for me to kind of pigeonhole myself with where I'm
Mhm.
at right now and not be happy with the progress that I've made. But then through our conversation, it's like you made me reflect back on that first year, even though it's very spotty. The first 2, 3 years are very spotty, but it's appreciating those wins that you've made through the years and for you through the months too. And I hope you're able to capture that and look back on that. And that, I mean, even you just climbing out of that helicopter, right? I mean, you should really hold on to that too. Obviously, not if it's like traumatizing, but like that frustration, that exhaustion that you feel every day is valid and warranted. Um, but knowing you were able to hit a bucket of balls, after work, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I hope you do appreciate those little wins and those successes. Cause I mean, you said it and it's true. It can be found in the day-to-day tasks that we do, which have proven to be even more challenging for us
Yeah.
with our brain injuries. But in closing, is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything we didn't get to talk about, or a message you'd like to share for our listeners who are either brain injury survivors, caregivers, or just the general public? Is there anything you'd like to say?
Let me think. It'll come to me.
You're good. Take your time.
I would say from a caregiver point of view, you don't have to love someone with a brain injury perfectly. You need to love them in a way that you're willing to break down your walls or your routines of how you care for somebody to listen and to let them in a little bit and to love them in ways that they need or that they're telling you. And that in return, to know that us people who do have brain injuries are willing to like compromise and work with you as well if you're willing to work with us. then it takes a team. It takes a village. And on the brain injury survivor, as cliche as it is that you're not alone, and to own your story. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I own that. Yeah, I climbed out of that mother effer. Like I got out of
Absolutely.
there. Like I became that small percentage that survived something like this, and even on the hard days, I own it. I own the hard, and I own the good, and that your story is yours, and it doesn't matter what other people think because they can't rewrite it for you. So I'm excited to see where my story goes and what I learn, and to see the people that can love and appreciate me, and vice versa, the people that I can love and appreciate from having this injury.
Oakley, well said. And we're excited. I'm excited. And I say we are collectively, because I know our listeners will be excited to see where you go after this episode and continue in the future. But powerful, powerful words for everybody that has a brain injury. Own that damn story. Oakley's right. Be proud of it. Be proud of what you are working through, what you survived, and truly, truly thankful to have you on Brain to Brain. Y'all, that concludes this episode for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oakley, you are a badass, and
Yeah.
we will see y'all on the next episode. Thank you.